Hey guys, how are ya? I'm super excited. I'm also very honored to be here. Flea was like, you can do this. I was like, thank you so much. All right, I'm gonna bring them all out, all right? Just keep the applause going. Felicia Fasano, CSA, Casting Director, Survival of the Thickest. Caissie St. Onge, Executive Producer, busy this week. Ashley Nicole Black, writer and actor of Full Frontal with Samantha Bee and a Black Lady sketch show. Danielle Pinnock from Ghosts. And Bria Simone Henderson from The Good Doctor. Give them a hand. Woo-woo.
I just want to say, I want to thank ATX for letting us have these chairs for our panel.
Yes.
You all know what I'm talking about. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. The worst is when there's like director's chairs. I don't know about you guys.
We were just talking about every director's chair disaster that has ever happened to all of us outside.
And just like, I'll just stand for 14 hours. It's fine. It'll be fine.
You are taking your life into your own hand. And that's anyone, even a thin person is in danger.
I was going to say, those things are not fit for human use at all. Who likes director's chairs in here? Get out. All right, so the description of this panel is talking about the growing call for body diversity and size inclusion on TV. I'm wondering if we can start, and any of you can jump in. Is anyone running to pick up that call? Like, what is the reception that you guys have seen in the last few years from the other side, from people who are not pushing for it? Are they accepting it? Are you feeling like it's a little bit more doable now than it was before? Flea, let's start with you. Oh, yeah, you.
Me. I feel like it's been my call to action my entire career for 35 years, is doing what I could do, but mostly being, hit against the wall, unless I'm working with somebody incredible like Pamela Adlon. Who is all about everything inclusive, and especially body types. But is it better now? No, but I will say in the last couple of weeks, there's been more conversation in general thanks to Bridgerton.
Oh yeah, we're going to talk about Bridgerton.
But before that, not a lot of conversation. No, not in my opinion.
Well, there's always conversation, right? But sometimes I don't love the way the conversation is going. And that includes Bridgerton. I think that there's been a little bit of backlash and just, I don't know, like we're people. And so it's weird to ever be spoken about like we're not people and we have experiences. And so to have anyone act like it's wild that a plus size woman who's really not even that plus size or what, but not that it's a contest. If it was, I would have won a couple of times. But, to act like it would be impossible for a plus size person to be a love interest or to be found sexy when like we've all, I'm
gonna probably go home with one of them. Volunteers. It's not unreasonable.
There's lots of beer in the green room.
Listen, if there's ribs too, I'll be there. Yeah, it's interesting because even in that conversation, like talking about a love interest, I'm in the weird position of being on both sides. Like I audition and I also watch auditions and weigh in on hiring people. And it's so like the love interest conversation is the one that you expect to have. But when you're like hiring woman in grocery store and only one body type comes in, it's like, do you know what a grocery store looks like? Like, this is not realistic. Like, this is just a person who has 3 jokes. The only thing this person needs to be is funny. And you've brought me everything except for funny. Yeah. So people's minds are so in a place where it's like you've actually forgotten what your job was, which in my case was to make this show funny, and you think your job is to make this show as small as possible.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I've been cast as doing like a lot of occupationally driven roles, just being a Black woman and a plus size Black woman. So it's like sassy bus driver that's like, get on the bus. or like the sassy librarian that's like, y'all really need these books? And I'm like, that's really cool. You know, we need those people and we shout out to them. But also like, I'm trained, you know, I went to graduate school in England. You know, I studied at the RSC, you know, so I'm like, give me something that I can actually sink my teeth in. And also as a theater person, I had the opportunity of playing a variety of different roles. And I feel like on TV, I don't get that opportunity. And so I'm so grateful for shows like Ghost because it's like, yo, come on, Ghost fans. I see y'all. Hey. You know, that was kind of one of the roles where it was a dream come true because it's quirky enough for me. It is my kind of comedy. Like, she's a 1920s Prohibition era ghost. She's a jazz singer. She's a fool and a hot mess, but also very vulnerable. And she has sex all the time. And it's like, yeah, this is me for real. So yeah, I do think it is changing. And I have to just give a huge shout out to the plus size actresses that paved the way. You know, Monique is one of them. Yes. You know, the Parkers changed the world. I mean, Constance Vaughn, like as a kid seeing that, I was like, come on, Constance, like you are killing it. And there's so many others, you know, and so, oh my God, Kim Coles, oh my God, just like, there's so many women. And so I'm grateful for them because as hard as it was for them, it's a little easier for me and people that look like me now.
Right.
Bria, I'm wondering, this is kind of for Bria and Danielle and Ashley, like how many times would you say, like just round in your life, have you had to read for the fat friend role on a show as opposed to how many times you've been approached with something that was not that?
I'm still, is the mic on?
It does not sound like your mic is on.
I can project. I'm still very much new in my career. I just started professionally in 2019. But the auditions that were coming in a lot were for the fat, funny friend, or the fat friend that doesn't love her body, or the fat friend that goes on the journey to then love her body. Mm-hmm. And then when The Good Doctor came, the reason why I connected to that character so much was because when I got the breakdown, it said she's plus size, she's proud, she's a fashionista. And that's when I was like, wait, this sounds like me. I don't see breakdowns like this, especially when they put the size in there. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I gravitated to. And it's been an honor to play Jordan Allen for the last 4 years. But, you know,
yeah, we can clap for that.
The Good Doctor.
The auditions are still saying fat funny, and I say no. You know, I do not take for that because I don't think that's who I am. I remember when I first graduated from grad school, the head of my program told me either if you go to New York, you'll be the queen of workshops, and if you move to LA, you'll just be the fat funny friend. And I haven't played any of those roles yet. So that's just a testament to if you know who you are and whose you are, the right things are gonna find you. And like the way I wanna represent plus size women, brown bodies, big bodies, I want to present it with honor and some integrity. And you don't see that a lot in the industry. And I hope that the tide is changing a little bit with some of the shows that that's been coming out lately. So I'm hopeful. Yeah. But I still get those breakdowns. I just don't.
Well, I was gonna say, Flea, from the other side, like when you're seeing people and maybe you're bringing in actors that are not, you're bringing in a plus size actor for a role that is not a plus size role. Do you meet a lot of resistance from production?
You mean for the producers? Yeah. Again, unless it's Pamela Adlon. Yeah, if it's some white men, you know, I mean, or if it's for the CW.
I mean, they have like 1.5 shows now, so I don't think they should be too picky in general, but yeah.
But, I mean, there may not be resistance, but they just may not have any opinion and they'll just pick other people. So.
I mean, is it something they'll say, or is it
No, and I might ask, I go, well, what did you think? And they go, well, that's not the way we saw it. And you're like, I go, okay, that's, they're fantastic, but you're just overlooking that because it's not the look that you wanted. Right. And it's hard. I mean, luckily, I don't work with those kind of people anymore in my career. I mean, I've made a conscious effort to work as much as I can, especially with women who are in front of and behind the camera, and people who have similar morals and tastes as I do. So hopefully.
It's not even like a question of morality. It's like we're talking about constantly being brought in for the sidekick or the fat, funny friend. But like women are over half of the population of the world and of America. The average size of the American woman is, I believe, size 16. So we are the main character already in life. We are the leading role in life. So anyone who isn't seeing that and isn't interested in reflecting that back to us, who we're also the audience and we also want to see ourselves represented, like that person really lacks vision.
Oh, but this is the new thing I've heard a lot from the networks and the studios. We're looking for people who are aspirational. And this is the first time I heard this. It's terrible.
And you know what's weird is because I started out in theater, but like the way you would pay for working in theater is doing commercials. And in the commercial world, I am aspirational. Like aspirational means you just buy this product that costs $10 and you can be the cool lady. So I already look like you. All you're missing is the sunglasses or like whatever it is. So it's interesting that like the same word when you move to television is a dig versus in commercials where you're actually trying to sell a product, you want the person to look like the audience. And TV has decided we're not going to do that.
I think a lot of times also with the character breakdowns, because I've seen kind of sassy black this, sassy black that for so long, I start to internalize it for myself. And then sometimes when I see she's a romantic lead, I count myself out of those auditions because I've never had the opportunity to be a romantic lead, even though I've been married for 11 years and was a hoe throughout my 20s. You know what I mean?
This is what I'm saying.
And I'm like, I can't do this. This is romantic. But I'm like, girl, you got it, right? So you do start to internalize those things. And I'm like, for me, it is beyond being a romantic lead. Like, I want to be a cult leader. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
My next TV show, like, I want to be a scientist. And so that's why Bria is so inspiring to me, because for so long, I would get procedural auditions and be like, no, you're not the doctor, you're dead body number 2. But to see her, be just so incredible on The Good Doctor. I mean, if you have not seen her, she is phenomenal, and go watch her. The work that she is doing is changing the game. She's a masterclass actress. And you also, sis, first of all, this legend right here, Second City, like, I remember watching Ashley being like, that's exactly what I want to do. And I had the honor to be on a Black Lady sketch show with her, and she's an improv master. And to see how she broke the barriers with that show, it's just really inspiring. So I'm just really honored to be here, and we're doing it.
You guys are getting the full Danielle experience.
Yes, this is her every single day.
The way you pour into people. We were on set of Black Lady Sketch Show, and I was like, I don't know, I kind of want to do voiceover. They never bring me in for voiceover, or they only bring me in for the characters that are Black. And I'm like, I could be a bird or a comb. Like, why can't? And Danielle was like, do it. And now I do so much voiceover work just because I spent that time with you. So I will say, like, it's tough out here, but we do have this like amazing community of people. And being on the other side of it, also being in the writer's room, like when you were saying, oh, they don't say to me anything, they just don't pick her. They say to me, because I'm sitting in the writer's room next to them, when they're like, are you insane? Obviously not, about an actress. And it's not even like the plus size actresses aren't even getting to us. It's just an actress who looks like a human being. It's like, okay, you're missing out on literally some of the best people in the game. Yeah. Like, that's your choice if you want to do it. Like, Quinta created Abbott. She's obviously so genius as a writer and as an actor. Would someone have cast her in the lead role of a network sitcom if she didn't write it? Probably not. So every single person who didn't do that missed out on having, one of the most amazing sitcom leading ladies of today. Right. So it's not like we're missing out, they're missing out.
Yeah.
I do want to talk, you guys want to talk about Bridgerton for a minute?
I'm ready.
Okay, good. So I'm gonna read something that's gonna make you want to throw stuff. Just don't throw it at me. All right. This is from a recent article from The Spectator in the UK. Zoe Strimple is the writer. I hear you guys are like, yeah, we're ready for this. So she was writing about how Penelope could not possibly be believed as a love interest for Colin because of the way that her body is. I quote, Coughlin is an actress of great value and might be adored, but she's simply not plausible as the friend who would catch the handsome, rich aristocrat Colin Bridgerton's eye in that way. She's not shapely, which can work as sexy even in Hollywood. She's fat. And then later, there's nothing wrong with fat. It's hardly a moral shortcoming. Thanks for bringing it up. But a zest for equality and diversity, and in this case, good acting, just isn't enough to make a fat girl who wins the prince remotely plausible. I know. And so what's interesting to me, I mean, first of all, it's trash, right? But like, what's interesting to me is that this character's been on the show, right?
Yeah.
And I don't remember anyone having strong thoughts about her, but when she gets the guy, all of a sudden, it's Bridgerton. This is the thing we don't believe about Bridgerton?
Yeah.
Like this? Right?
Isn't the Queen
The
of
orchestra's
England
playing
black on that
Coldplay,
show?
but we don't believe. Yeah. But
Queen of England is black.
This journalist is just tripping, right? Because I have to believe, based on what they wrote, that they're a thin person. And so this is breaking their brains, right? That everything that I have aspired to, everything that I believe that I have worked for, you're now flying in my face and telling me like a fat girl can get dick, a fat girl can get rich dick. I've been bigger than, is that too rude for ATX? I'm sorry. But I've been getting rich dick since 10th grade. I was a cheerleader and I was bigger than Nicola. The whole, like, this is what I'm saying. Like, this is reality. You know, people are attracted to people that look like us, you know?
Not in spite of.
Not in spite of, because of, or sometimes just like not even taking that into consideration. So it is not an accurate representation of what's happening in the world. And it's, you know, it's that problem that comes up all the time, is that people can only believe their own experience is universal. And when I tell you, like, no, this has never been a problem for me, this has never been an issue for me, you can't believe it, and somehow that's supposed to be my problem.
But also, not everybody should be allowed to talk. Because we've let too many people talk. That's what happened with social media. Because the key thing that came out of that to me was the line, like, we've allowed diversity and good acting to be what else is a TV show supposed to show you other than good acting? So if you are a person who thinks someone being a good actor is not a good reason to cast them, why are you allowed to talk? Like, why are you talking?
It also seems a little bit like when when you're like, oh, the Matrix isn't real, and all this work I've been doing for all this time and making myself miserable doesn't matter. Like that, I think people take it hard, right?
Yeah. But if you look at any of the artwork from that time period and the sculptures, it is literally curvy women with fupas and their coochies out. So I'm kind of like, that is literally the artwork that we go and see at the Met.
That's goals.
How is that, you know what I mean? And they're marble and they're beautiful and the men are with them, and it's just like stunning. And so how have we gone so far from that, where that is not believable, when that literally was the time period? And as you were saying, there are black lords in Bridgerton, like, and mixing with white women, you know what I mean? During that time, it's all surreal, right? And we love it, you know? So I think they're just fools. That's it.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, and then came the backlash from the plus size community.
Can you speak to that for a little bit, about anyone who might not be aware of what you're?
Well, there's a store in Los Angeles called the Plus Bus, which we're all probably pretty familiar with. We're friends with the owner, and it's a great place to go because plus size clothing, just in general, to find is not easy, and especially cute things that we actually like. So it's got vintage and new and just beautiful stuff. And she posted about the Bridgerton article, and from there came a backlash from all the plus size people saying, she's not even plus size.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Cannot win. Cannot win.
And that she does not, oh my God, what is the word? Presenting. She's plus size presenting, but doesn't identify as plus size.
Does she?
Everyone's staring at me now. Rich dick.
People are just mad. People just like to be
I
mad.
I feel like in any community there are bullies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's,
Yeah.
you know, that's not excluding the plus size community. There just is. And it's another reason why I kind of teeter the line of saying if I'm actually body positive or not. Because there's some days where I'm like, you know, let me just not do that. You know, let me
Right.
not just like eat all oxtails all day. Do you know what I mean? and I don't do that. And it's a thing like where you see like with plus size women, when they do lose weight, whether it's health reasons or whatever, they get bashed.
Right.
And I know for me, it's like if I have to lose weight because of a health reason or something, or if one day I wake up, I'm like, you know what, I want to be snatched. You know, I don't want people to say, well, her name is Body Courage online and she did this amazing play and da da da. How can you do that? Well, this is my life.
Right.
You know what I mean? There are bullies in any community, and so the industry sees her as plus size. The world sees her as plus size, and so like that's just what it is.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah, I mean, well, we know, right? The whole Ozempic conversation, like any person that you've known to be like a size 16 who's in the public eye, and then they go down to a size 14, and all the comments on Instagram are Ozempic, 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 and it's just very public, and whether it is or whether it isn't, you know, is none of our fucking business, frankly. But unless you do it in the private group chat, you know, and I'm like,
Can I also
but you shouldn't do it in the comments like that. That's rude.
Can I pitch a show to you? Can I pitch a show to you? Okay, because anytime
Last fat black girl in Hollywood. I'm gonna be the last fat person in Hollywood.
I think I kind of want to just call it Ozempic Queen. So basically what it is that I go to the doctor and I'm like, oh my gosh, I broke my wrist. And then they're like, get Ozempic. Like that's literally what's happening in the doctor's office.
See,
right
you
now.
joke, but that literally happens.
That literally happens.
No, this is same. But I'm like, then I become kind of like an Ozempic dealer in LA because I'm going there with different ailments. I'm like, my toe, get Ozempic. And I get all of this, I put it in a cabinet somewhere and sell it to all the girls in LA and the guys.
I think this is a good show and a good business.
Yeah, okay.
might make more money just as a
I'm
business.
just trying to get my bid to be the next Walter White.
Breaking fat.
Breaking fat. Sold.
Come on,
I mean, I would watch that show a lot.
Literally. Listen.
I'd be at your door.
But yeah, for anyone here who's skinny and has been skinny your whole life, this is a fun fact. If you're a plus size person and you go to the emergency room because you broke your ankle, they'll be like, have you ever thought about losing weight? And you're just like, but I mean.
Yeah, I dropped a suitcase on my hand. I'm stupid. That's the problem that needs solving.
Literally anything. Pneumonia. Split ends. Have you thought about losing weight? Have I thought about it? Yeah, every fucking hour of my life. Of course. Of course I've thought about it.
I want to open this up to all of you because obviously, as we talked, bodies fluctuate over the course. If you're lucky, right, your body like changes as you age, and that seems to be the one thing that people feel totally fine commenting on when about anyone. I'm wondering if you guys can talk a little bit about if you've been in different bodies, the reception you've gotten from your coworkers, from casting agents, from producers, casting directors, sorry. Just how you've noticed it might have changed.
I had a one-woman show I did for 5 years called Body Courage, where I interviewed 350 people worldwide about how they felt about their body image. And one of the questions that I asked is, what would your one wish for your body be? And the answer usually 90% of the time was longevity. And then I would say, what would you change about the body? And then that's where the nitpicking began. I lost 100 pounds when I was in high school. I got as low as 135. And it was the first time that I'd been in that small body. And my whole family, we're Jamaican, so from the moment I was born, I was like, girl, you fat. And they would just feed you, feed you more food and dumplings and things. But I'm writing my book right now currently, and the things that I experienced in a smaller body were so frightening in terms of just assault from different men and just how people would treat me like a prize now, and I didn't like it at all. And also I had lost weight for someone, and that person passed away literally at my final weigh-in, the day of my final weigh-in. And so the grief of that, and then to then gain all of that back, and then be in like tumultuous relationships and like all of this stuff, it has taken a really, really long time. and exploration through that show to say, I really do love myself. This is the first time, and I'm probably the heaviest I've ever been, but I was like looking in the mirror on my 36th birthday, and I'm like, bitch, you're cute. I was like, fuck. I was like, your boobs look good, and your belly, you don't have no ass yet, but it's coming. But like, this is the first time that I've really loved myself and what I look like, and that took a lot of therapy. And even with the evolution of trying to lose weight and going to the gym and not suppressing what I eat and doing all these unhealthy rituals that I was doing in the past, like losing weight now has become, I mean, it's a level of self-care, but I'm doing it with help. And I think that's the other thing. Like, I fluctuated my entire life. I've been in every single diet. That crazy cult diet that was on HBO, Way Down, where you pray the food away. I did that with my mom.
Sure.
All summer. We're like, God, we're not hungry at Sizzler, okay? And so I've gone through all of these different things. And this is what the show is basically about. And I interview all kinds of people about like early onset Parkinson's and, if I do it again, Ozempic, I'm sure it will be the next thing. But it is so interesting to see people want longevity, but they want to nitpick themselves along the way. And I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, I want to.
I mean, I'm not, I was just going to say, I'm not, well, I just started to be in front of the camera very late in life. I'm a behind the scenes girl. And on a number of shows where I worked behind the scenes, I was sort of encouraged to lose weight. I was put on fen-phen by our staff doctor at a TV show when I was very young. And a lot of you are too young to remember fen-phen, but it was like the Ozempic of the 90s until they realized, oh, it makes your heart stop and you will.
It kills people.
100 drop dead. Yeah. So, I was very successful at losing weight on fen-phen and then stopped because I didn't want to die. And I immediately gained the weight back. But like, that sucked to have, that even be part of the conversation, not how funny I was, not how reliable I was, not how talented I was, but just like it would make us feel more comfortable if you were a little bit thinner, even if it endangers your life. Yes.
I know you have a story, Flea.
I have a story. Can you hear me? Oh, I worked on a show as a casting director for 7 years. And our costume designer was a fattist. What's the word? Fat phobic, hated fat people, only did not understand anyone who was this oversized too.
Oh, so the term is bitch.
Yeah, she was a bitch. Skinny bitch. Skinny bitch. Heroin chic, skinny bitch. Yeah. And she would give me so much shit every time we hired anyone who was over a size 6. And, I believe had maybe body shamed some of our actors on the show over the years. However, I was always a big girl, and she would not only would she give me a problem, we were hiring a very big guest star who was like a size 16. And she said to me, why are you hiring this person? I don't know how to shop for her. Where do you shop for your clothes? And I was like, what? You're how do you not don't you have friends? Like, aren't there other people to ask?
It's not like your job to find those things.
And she was literally angry at me about it. Then I was on the show another time, more than once, and then she would just say to me, we're not getting you clothes. I was like, that's fine, I'll wear my regular clothes. So the last season, before we went back, I lost 80 pounds. And I come in and she pulls me, she sees me, she pulls me in her room and she says, hey, we've got all the clothes. Go in there, have a field day, pick whatever you want from the last 7 seasons, 6 seasons, go shopping. And I cried. I was mortified. I was flattered. She kind of now was nice to me for the first time in 7 years, but it was like she'd never seen me before. Except for as this fat girl. And this was now all of a sudden she saw me totally different. And I still will never forget that all those years ago.
Yeah, that's traumatizing. A few years ago during the pandemic, I remember the world was crumbling and I was like, oh, this is when I'll lose some weight. And when the world comes back, I'll come back skinny. And I had lost the most weight I had lost. I went back to work, but in that smaller body, I was fat shamed the most. in a really weird way. I was body shamed so much on the show that body dysmorphia started to like build in me. And I think, a lot of us being in bigger bodies, we fight against fat phobia so much, but we also need to work on the fat phobia within ourselves too. And so then I lost my mother a few months ago, and last year I was her caregiver. And so through that journey, I gained all the weight back, because grief will, trying to survive grief, trying to survive a crisis, you will do anything. And I found out that I was an emotional eater. I wish I was one of those people that lost the appetite. I'm like, no, I wanted to eat every time we got bad news. And so now I'm in this bigger body, and I'm trying to learn to love myself. I'm trying to move back to LA, and I'm so scared to just move back because I don't want my friends to see me like this, which is so weird because it's all this built up body dysmorphia and fat phobia I have within myself. But recently, and also through therapy, I told myself, this is the body that carried you through the worst time of your life. And this is the body that got you to do some of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my 31 years. And if I do not decide to love it and honor it for what it has done for me, then I would be crazy. And so, so I'm kind of like going through a new journey in this like newer body, but this body was a comforter. This body was a caregiver. This body was a place for my mom to lean on when the bed wasn't comfortable. All this was a cushion enough for her during her time, and so I have to honor it. And I am working through my own fat phobia as well. Even being on the show, comments, of course, were like, "Oh, we love the representation of your character," but also I saw the comments where it's like, "You gain weight, try a diet," or "This character wouldn't even fall in love with you because of what you look like." And I'm reading that almost every week from the show and still trying to save face, like I am confident, I am plus size, I am beautiful, and it's a hard battle.
Well, you open up a really good. I wanted to bring up how being a woman online is a crime, right? So being a larger bodied woman online is the mere existing is enough to set some people off. And you guys get that. I mean, all of you have online presences. Like, I'm wondering how do you deal with it? It's a very hard, as you said, it's a very hard thing.
It's even different now because, do y'all remember a few years ago when being plus size was cool and trendy? When like being thick was like cute, and so then the girls got the BBLs and Lizzo was out and people wanted to make every part of their body bigger, right? And now we're back in what I believe is like the early 2000s, where it's like the Kardashians now have reversed their surgeries. We're not doing BBLs anymore. We need to take them out. No more lip fillers. Everything's coming back to this smaller, like thin as in thing. Last night I was in the hotel and I saw a commercial for like another form of Ozempic, and it was this fat girl who was like, "Weight isn't shame, it's health." And then it had like this like logo, like try this weight loss surgery, and I'm like, everything. I hope she gets residuals. I hope she gets that. She needs to get some residuals from that because it played a lot last night. But it's really sad now, and now my heart goes out to the younger big girls, because growing up, it was like Beyonce was really small, Ashanti was really tiny, A. Marie, those were the girls we were looking at, especially the black girls. And now it's all over the place on like being smaller and getting the weight loss surgery or trying the weight loss pill. And it's really sad. It's an even worse form of fat phobia than I think we experienced when I was younger.
I have to say, being Jamaican, earlier in my life, being fat was celebrated. Like when you would go down to Jamaica, I mean, we just went down and
baby,
the man,
let me tell you something.
They were like all over.
Changed my life.
And so, no, like literally, like you go down there and it's like anybody can get it, right? Anybody. But my grandmother, y'all, that's a dozen panel, but Bria was cutting up in Jamaica. That's all I'm gonna say.
I felt like a light-skinned girl with a BBL and a 30-inch bust down.
Yeah. But the thing, I remember my grandma always saying, she was like, thin is so in America. When she came and immigrated here, she was like, it's like now in Jamaica, America sneezed and Jamaica caught the cold. And so now it's not like, yes, they do love plus size women, but it's not as much as it used to be. And I feel like, as you were saying, it is feeling a little Y2K-ish right now. And I remember going to school and being in predominantly all-white schools with these thin girls in Juicy Couture, and I was wearing Burlington Coat Factory suits. I used to look like Maxine Waters and Steve Harvey's love child.
Legit.
3-piece suits.
I wore that for my 5th grade graduation.
I'm like, what was my mom thinking? Put me in Juicy Couture. And at the time, Abercrombie and Fitch, my God, I just wanted to be in a pair of jeans. You know what I mean? I was in Limited.
Right.
As a 13-year-old. I looked crazy. And so, sorry, but like I do feel like, our bodies are gonna evolve. And that's what we need to be seeing more of on television. There shouldn't be a thing where our friend gains weight or I gain weight and then it's like, oh my gosh, you gained weight online. But that's just the world that we live in. I don't look at any comments. People call me all kinds of crazy shit online all the time. And like, I remember there was like this white love interest that I had on Ghost, Richie Moriarty, who plays Pete. And I remember this one comment, he was like, unrealistic. And I said, you know what's unrealistic? 2 ghosts falling in love, you dumbass. You know what I mean? I literally do not follow the comments. I protect my peace at all costs. I'm telling y'all, just do that. The internet is cruel and mean, but there are some pockets of joy there. And I'm telling you, like, social media has quite literally changed my life and career. Like, I've been trained in theater for so long, did Second City, like did all of the things, but it was social media that got me my big break in real time, where people in Ghost are like, oh my God, she's funny. And I'm like, y'all, I was on Young Sheldon for 4 years. Yes, I was funny. I did Get Shorty, thank you. You know what I mean? But like, it took social media and creating my own characters for people to finally say, oh, no, she's actually good. And so it can be a joyful place, but it is what you make it.
It's really difficult. I feel like like you were saying, kind of, sometimes you don't feel like having that fight. You don't feel like getting into it. So I focus a lot on just what I do. And I have a few things. When people talk to me about my body, depending on how comfortable I feel, sometimes I say, I just don't talk about bodies. I don't think it's cool for you to bring up my body to me. If you want to talk to me about anything else, that's great. But my body is my business. And so just for future reference, we're not having a conversation about my body, which is like, if I feel brave enough to say that to someone. But in my own life, I noticed, and women do it all the time, but especially in show business, you look amazing when they see each other. Have you lost weight? You look skinny. You look tiny. I stopped doing that. I just say, it's nice to see you. I'm happy to see your face. It's good to see you. I never anymore, never say you look amazing unless I really know the person. But I think just switching that greeting. And then the third thing that's super important to me is that like my career path has just worked out that I work with a lot of brands and clothing brands, and I will not work with a clothing brand that's not size inclusive. Just because, and like, listen, I'm not super rich. I'm not really in a position to say no to anyone. But sometimes I say no, I'm not going to work with that brand because they only go up to XL or whatever. And it's just like, I feel like people have really trusted me and followed me down this path. And I don't want to answer a DM from somebody that's like, that shirt that you said was cute, I went to look and then they don't have my size and now I feel like shit. And I'm like, yeah, because that's shitty. Like, I was trying to explain to someone, like, here's the reason why I do it. If you're wearing a cute dress and I say, that's an amazing dress, where did you get it? And you know that it doesn't come in my size, then what do you say? Like, it's like if you were eating a delicious sandwich and I was like, that sandwich looks good. And you were like, I got it on the corner, but they're not going to sell you the sandwich. Like, could you imagine saying that to someone? How shitty and horrible you would feel. And that's what we're doing with clothing all the time. So I just flat out won't work with a clothing brand that's not size inclusive.
I don't either. And it's very funny because they will reach out to me. One time it was a swimsuit company that went up to like a size 8. And I said, now what do you want me to do with the swimsuit? like, what do you think I'm gonna do? And it was like such a flummoxing question because it just like hadn't occurred to them. It's like, I can't wear it. So how can I recommend it or sell it to other people? But I have, like, to the social media thing, curated my social media down so much that I don't see a lot of those comments because I have just really like honed it in. And when I first started, I wanted to be like a dramatic actor and nobody was casting me to do that thing. And then I went to Second City and I figured out comedy and I was like, oh, in comedy, there's like a clear barometer of if I'm good. Like I talk, people laugh. I am good at this. There's no argument either way. So I can change the conversation to, oh, she's funny. Oh, she's a great writer. And that's like what the conversation about me is. So it's not about my body. So that works. But it is so much work. It's so unfair. Like people are like, you should have your own show. And I'm like, I know. And in order to do that, I have to think of the idea and then like staff it up and then write a whole show and all of that just to like do it. And everybody else gets to just like get a breakdown, do an audition and do the show. So it's like, we're saying like, oh, things are better because you're on TV. But it's like, yeah, but to get there, I have to do 10 times more work than everybody else. So it's actually not better. Like equality will be when I can suck and still succeed.
You just want the chance to suck as much as everyone else.
To get to be mediocre. So many white guys get to be mediocre and be successful.
And do.
I just want to roll out of bed one day, not have learned my lines, and it's fine.
Well, that raises something I'm interested in. Do you think you could pitch a show about a plus-size character that had nothing to do with that character wanting to change their life and their body and get it on TV somewhere? I mean, we have Shrill, right? Like that, but like, that's one show in a very long time, you know? Survival of the Fittest. You're right. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's 2 shows, right? Like, do we feel like there's a change coming?
It's not insane anymore. Like, I feel like when I first started out, people would be like, what do you want to do? And it'd be like, I want to be Tina Fey. I want to write and star in my own show. And it'd be like, okay. And now it's like, okay. You know, so it is better. Like, I get in those rooms. I pitch shows. Have any of them made it to air? Not yet. But it's no longer like a crazy idea. But I do think there's an assumption. Like, I was just taking out a rom-com movie. And it's just, you know, my character falling in love with the wrong guy. It's the same as every rom-com you've ever seen. And there is kind of an assumption that at some point she's going to wish she lost weight or that's going to be part of the conversation. And I'm like, it's not. This is just a girl did something dumb, you know, and she fucked the wrong guy. It's what that's what it is. And I think the majority of people will look at that and go like, oh yeah, I've done that, and just enjoy the movie. I don't think people are ever watching the movie being like, when is she gonna open the fridge and look at a cake and cry? A scene I have filmed.
We're going to come to you guys in 1 minute. I'm going to ask them one more thing, so start getting your question hats on. I want to know, what is the worst wrap gift that you've ever gotten that you could not wear or use because it was not size inclusive? Maybe there wasn't one. Maybe you guys all.
I always just tell them, just give me a hat. They never will have my size. I've gotten bomber jackets that are just large, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll just frame it or give it to my husband.
Right.
Like, I've never had like size inclusive wrap gifts ever in my career, ever.
Yeah, hoodies that don't fit. It's like, I guess I should just frame it, put on the wall.
Yes. I have always taken the position of making myself in charge of the wrap gift so that they are size inclusive. So that's a huge extra like undertaking. But I think like coming up with a way for people to come and privately tell you what size they would like, because it's not a fucking surprise that you're getting a sweatshirt, you know? So like, you might as well just ask what size sweatshirt someone wants and if they're interested. So that's the way that I have handled that. But I do have like a entire trunk of useless shit from.
I think I've gotten one clothing item that fit ever, and that was at Full Frontal, not surprisingly. But we also sold like a lot of merch at Full Frontal, weirdly, like feminist, bad dude, you know, like inspirational t-shirts. And it was a bit of a fight to be like, you need to find a company that's size inclusive. How dare you make a t-shirt that says feminist that every woman can't wear? And it was a bit of a fight because it's like, oh, well, that t-shirt company's a little bit more expensive. It's like, okay.
Yeah. That's what it costs more.
Yeah, guess what? We're used to it.
Exactly. But then, like, stop giving clothes. Like, give me a Rolex.
Yeah.
You know,
give me a really nice.
You know, give me some jewelry. You know what I'm saying? Like, you
Give
made
me
a
money.
lot of money on the show. Like, a car.
Give me a check.
You know what I'm saying? Stop with the clothes.
I work for Apple so much. I'm like, give me a computer.
You have closets full of computers.
So many computers laying around.
That happened to me for so many years. My father wore every movie jacket I ever worked on. I'd send it to him. And then when I started doing television and working and, of course, getting the clothes and nothing was ever in my size, that I started to pitch ideas on jobs I'd be on. I'd be like, okay, we're getting close to end. Who's in charge of it? I've got ideas, not clothes. Hats, always love hats for everybody. But I just started getting my face in there. And I'm like, I'm vetoing things. Nobody knows that I was doing this. I find the person and I'm like, these are some ideas that work for our show, and pitch these ideas.
I also just have to give you your flowers because you always make us feel seen. Anytime I come into your office, you cast me in like one of my first shows in LA, and even seeing Leave Their Own, like Bemisola is a dream. And so I just love the shows that you cast because I can always see us and see the care and the attentiveness behind it. So thank you for always choosing us. It really does mean a lot.
Love you.
Yay. All right, well,
All I care about.
that is a really nice note to go to questions on. So we have microphones. My rules for questions, they have to end in a question mark, yeah? Okay. And I will cut you off if you are going too long, all right? Okay, let's start over here in the back, please.
Oh, dear Lord. Hi, do you have any advice for like the younger plus girlies on like loving yourself? And accepting who you are, especially in the acting field?
I have a really basic piece of advice, but it needs to be said. Buy clothes that fit your body.
Yeah.
So many women are like buying clothes that are too small to be aspirational or trying to make something work because it's trendy. Like,
Or too big to
yeah,
hide.
figure out what looks good on you and what you like and fucking wear it. And I think if it's hard to feel confident in your body, find something to feel confident in to a psychotic degree. Like, I am so confident at how good I am at my job to a degree that is delulu and psychotic. So that when I'm getting that look of like, why are you here? How did you get to be here? I've been starving myself for 20 years. How did we end up on the same show? I'm like, bitch, I'm amazing. Like, there's this thing of like, you have to love your body, you have to love your body. And it's hard to do when nobody else does. So find something that you love to that degree that you can hold on to while you work on the other thing.
Excellent. I'm going to come over to this. Yeah, we can clap for that. That's good. Beautiful. In the back there.
Hey, I'm a writer, and a lot of my work is expanding what we think of when I say gay man, body-wise. And in the queer community where we have a word for everything, what I've encountered a lot is people not wanting to have the conversation about size diversity because they don't have the language for it in the way we do for a lot of other underrepresented groups now. And I was wondering if you had any experience or advice about being able to have that conversation without people having the language or making it about you and your body personally, like we were discussing.
You're a writer, make the language. You come up with the language and start just saying it. Because I think a huge problem that we've all dealt with in the past is almost like just not wanting to talk about it, not wanting to say anything, and kind of hiding. And I can't even tell you how long it took me until I was in my 40s to be like, it's not a secret that I look the way. So like, I can wear huge t-shirts, I can never mention it, I can act like nothing bothers me and everything's okay. Or I can just acknowledge the truth of it that everyone's been acknowledging to me all along and own it. And like, I think especially in your community that you're talking about, I know it's tough. I've never been a gay man yet, but I know it's hard out there for for you guys too. And so I think you just have to invent the language and start using it all over town.
Yeah, I think also like in the writer's room in particular, I'm sorry, it is almost possible for it to not be about you. So you just kind of have to own it. And a lot of times the language I use is like, what do you mean? So like we'll be writing a character and someone will say like, oh, a fat slob and a wife beater. And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Oh, well, he's uncouth and he's messy and whatever. Then let's use those words because people can be thin and be uncouth and sloppy. People can be fat and be super prim and proper. What do you mean? Use the words that you mean. And then if you want a fat actor, you can call the casting director and say that. You don't have to put hurtful words in the script for that actor to read. Now, unfortunately, when I say that in the writer's room, everyone knows I'm saying that because of the body that I'm in. I will say things have gotten better, and 99.9% of the time, a person in a thin body will back me up and not leave me out on that limb alone. So that's probably what will happen. But you do just have to own the position from which you speak. And I say, like, as a Black woman, if I tell you a Black character wouldn't do that, you just simply believe me in 2024, which is great. So you should also just believe me on this. This is also a position that I speak from.
And it's surprising how often I'll get something after everyone's approved what you've written, and it's still in there. And then I will say, can we change this? I don't want to put this verbiage out there. I don't want people to, see this and feel bad.
By the way, that's
about
just bad writing. Yeah. It's not specific. It doesn't serve the story in any way. And so the more specific someone can get with their writing, the closer that they'll get to the vision.
It's also not playable. Like, if I show up on set, I'm gonna be fat. You don't have to tell me to do that. I promise you, I'm gonna do it. You have to tell me to be mean, sarcastic, funny, crazy, whatever it is you want the actor to do should be written in the script. If you say, oh, this character is fat, what is the actor to do? Stand there? You're welcome, I did it,
I think we have time for like 2 more in the middle there.
Hi, thank you so much for coming. I was wondering, when you're getting ready for a scene and it requires eating, like, are there like a lot of, like, is there a feeling that comes up? Because I feel like eating on screen, like anytime I see an actor do it, it seems like rough. But I think like, sometimes even me just eating in front of people, it gets rough. So I wonder what your experience is with this.
So I'm not proud of this, but I used to audition for a lot of fried chicken commercials. I needed the money. I was in Chicago. One of them I booked. I will never show you the video. But there is an intimacy with food, as there would be if you're doing a love scene. And it requires some rehearsal as well. And so I choreograph it in a way that I can do it the same way multiple times. And it does feel a little X-rated when they're talking to them. They're like, can we get more sauce? Can we get more? And you're like, okay, sure. But there is a little level of choreography. It is embarrassing. It was embarrassing for me because I'm a Black woman, and we know the stereotypes that come with Black people and chicken and all of that stuff. And my bills need to be paid. And it was me and a couple of friends who were like, we will never speak about this moment again. But there is a level of choreography that does happen, and also being able to share with your director, this is a little uncomfortable. Can we rehearse this real quick? And I think that that's fair to ask all the time.
Yeah, I think also people need food to live. So no one should shame you for eating food at any point, and it does happen. But I think whether you're on camera or not, putting food in the category of like medicine or water or anything else, this is something my body needs to keep running. That's just true. And trying to like live in that. I will say most of the time that I'm tasked with eating food on camera, it's gross. It's usually not good. So I'm just not eating it because it's not good. You just kind of pretend to eat it because usually they don't put care into how they prepare it.
All right, we got one more right here in the front.
This conversation has been wonderful. Thank you. We've heard y'all talk about clothing a lot. Obviously, that is such a huge part in how we are presented to the world. Bria, your character breakdown saying she was a fashionista. How are those conversations going now with, showrunners or directors and your costume department? Has it gotten better? Is it still a fight? Are you able to see more beautiful clothing allowed for your characters to show themselves off in?
I know when I first started on The Good Doctor, the clothes that we had a different costume designer then, and the clothes that she brought in, I had never seen before. I was like, oh, these are all designers. These are brands. I can't believe this. I didn't know they made these clothes in my size. And I was like hitting it. And it was like, I was the character that was really wearing the most colorful outfits. And then after my first season, there was a note saying, it's too much. It's taken away from the writing. It's too distracting. And I was like, how are clothes taken away from the... if the writing good, the clothes is gonna be okay.
This floral pattern is taking away.
I'm only looking at these pants right now. I don't know that someone's
Too
being
much green.
right. And so then the costume started to shift to being more neutral and blacks. And I was like, now she's a fashionista. So then I would push back. And it was like always this push between the producers and I. And then until the costume designer had to say, like, it's distracting. I'm like, no one's focusing on the clothes like it's a part of her character. So then in my last season, I started bringing my own clothes. So a lot of the scenes where I'm dressed up, that's from my closet. Yeah.
I would have to say the thing that I'm so grateful to be on Ghost because we died in the outfits. And so I never...
Every time I see a picture of you, I'm like, I'm so jealous.
I got 5 of those crushed velvet dresses. And I love them all. I can gain weight, lose weight. It's the same kit and caboodle. But what I will say that I've struggled with is finding a stylist that will dress me in LA. And now as my career is starting to rise, I'm being invited to more things. I'm going to award shows. And I had this horrible experience. I was on the Tamron Hall show and had a stylist that was supposed to dress me. And their assistant came in and had the dress crumpled up in a book bag, threw it on the bed and said, yeah, I think that can fit. And I was like, do you know who I am? And I never have those moments. I was like, I'm on TV. Can you respect me, please? Jesus. And so I wore this crumpled, and then I showed you that outfit. It looked crazy. Like I looked like the auntie who makes the best ribs at the Juneteenth party. Like that is not something I want to wear to an award show. And so what I've had to start doing is styling myself. I've had so many bad experiences. I had a stylist that lost my wedding rings on a shoot. Child, they don't care. And so it's just really hard for me. And so what I've had to do is start making a spreadsheet of all of the designers that are size inclusive online, people that are willing to make custom gowns as well too. And it's an incredible amount of work. But the great thing about it is other plus size women and directors and writers have started reaching out to me being like, girl, I got an award show. You got that spreadsheet? And so it's become kind of a little bit of a community for me. And I'm like, to be honest, I think my next show is probably going to be unscripted where I'm just out here styling plus size women. Yes. And that's really what I want to do. I love it. I love it so much. I love doing it for myself and I love feeling good. That's all we want to feel. And so I think that's the biggest thing that I would say that I come up against is finding a stylist that actually cares, that's respectful, that when I say, look, I got an apple shape, and they're like, no, girl, that bodycon is going to be snatched. Baby, I don't even have ass to wear the bodycon. Right. Unless we're about to put padding in the back. So it's like, and I know my body, I've been in this body for so long. And so, yeah, I think that's probably the most difficult, but I've been styling myself and I love it and all my friends. So, yeah.
Yeah,
I think there was when Shrill came out, everyone was very excited because everyone's like, Adie looks so cute in those outfits. And then to find out that they were all custom made for her because there was nothing that fit her.
Yeah.
So that was basically, what we're saying is like, I'm not going to represent something that you can't get after, so.
When I started, like my first award show, I couldn't find anybody to dress me. Retta sent me her version of the spreadsheet. That's kind of what it becomes, girls passing it down. Now I have an amazing stylist, but I've been on shows where I come in like ready for battle. I'm like, here's my stylist phone number. If you don't know the brands, like she is so happy to help you. I pay her, and they're like, sis, we don't need all this. But I've also been on shows where I show up on the day and there's no clothes. There was the worst experience. I'm literally in my underwear on set, supposed to be on set. Like they have called for me and there are still no clothes. I had to call my stylist to get a designer out of bed to drive a dress 2 hours to where I was because it was either that or literally shoot in my bra. And so I was able to do that because by that point, I was at a point in my career where I have a stylist who has relationships with designers, who has it like that. But I'm like, if this had happened to me even 1 year earlier, I just would have had to sit down and cry and I guess shoot the scene in my sweatpants. So it's like, it's extra work. Instead of just being able to show up to set and just do my job, which is be funny, I have to come to set and make sure everybody else's job is done.
Yes.
Do you know how to do my hair?
Yes.
Have you ever done a black person's makeup before? Do you know where to shop for clothes? Okay, you can shop for casual clothes. Do you know how to shop for high-end clothes where we do the one scene where we're going to a party or whatever? You have to do everybody's job for them. Looking at the camera being like, I know the camera's not down there.
Right. Right.
Do you know
And
how to
what-
light me? You have to know a little bit about everybody's job.
You're all talking about, and I've experienced this too, is like, I don't mind if a stylist or a wardrobe designer has like a genuine curiosity, like, I like what you're wearing. What brands do you find fit you well? I don't mind sharing that information with someone who's genuinely curious. But I've also worked with people that I feel like, and this sounds like what you're all talking about, who are like low-key hostile about having to even, I just want to describe this t-shirt to you because I love this t-shirt so much. It's like a t-shirt dress and it comes down past my knees and the sleeves come down past my elbows. And I love it so much because the front of it is the bustier that Madonna wore on the Girly Show tour. It's just a cutout of the bustier on a black t-shirt and I'll wear it with leggings and like combat boots. And I have had people say, I don't like seeing you in that. It's distracting. It's too much. And I'm like, just the suggestion of a skinny lady's sexy outfit pasted on the front of a fucking gigantic t-shirt is too much for you. Like that's a you problem, you know? That's a you problem, but unfortunately it becomes an us problem because we have to work with the people that are like, I don't like you in the suggestion of an imaginary sexy outfit.
I will say on Black Lady Sketch Show, they were like, we're so excited that you're on the show. So many sketches where I take my shirt off. I never had my shirt on that show. And the best comment I got was someone's like, damn, that big girl hates to wear a shirt. So that's when you have a supportive team working with you.
Yeah. Amazing.
I have to say, being on Black Lady Sketch Show was like going to Mecca. I mean, I was like me and Amber Riley. I was bawling when I got to set because I've never seen that many black people behind the camera, makeup artists. Like I didn't have to stress. I literally just had to come and do my job, and I don't think I've ever had that in my entire 17+ year career. And so that show is really, really, really special. And you looked awesome.
Well, and talking about what's accessible because there was a learning curve. Like when we started, they had not dressed my size before, but they were very respectful and we worked together and we figured it out. And I was on the show long enough that they learned my body. And like the outfit that we all wore in that scene, like when we were trying stuff on, we were thinking about I know you guys and your bodies, and like we're not going to just pick something that looks good on me because I'm number 2. You know, we're going to make it work for everybody. But one of the things that we committed to once we got in the groove of doing it was that everything that I wore, you could buy. So it became a thing of after every episode, girls tweeting at me, DMing me, where did you get it? And it was always something that not only that you could go out and find, but that was reasonably affordable. Because there's nothing worse than being like, oh, finally, and then finding out, girl, that was 3 dresses they stitched together. You can't have that.
I am so sorry, but I have to shut this down. We got to move on. Can we get a gigantic hand for our friends up here?